I realized last video I had my notifications on for Instagram, and I just kept hearing my Instagram notifications, and it annoyed the shit out of me. Just kept hearing ding, ding, ding. I'm just like, ruined. Video ruined. Video's ruined now. We have to restart. Trash it all. Welcome back. It's me, Wizard in a t-shirt. You ever been to a concert? Of course you have. You ever been in the mosh pit? Now that's a different story. And to those that don't know what a mosh pit is, well, luckily I'm here to educate you with my knowledge of violence. A mosh pit is when a group of yeisty, fuck, that's the kind of energy you get in a mosh pit. That's the kind of energy. A mosh pit is when a group of really nice young men and women decide to form a group of open space, rather it be in the front or in the center of the show, to ram into each other like they're in a car accident that never fucking ends. It's generally just a lot of people ramming into each other just to kind of get out that aggressive energy. And you know, if you're lucky enough, you might even catch a fight, but that also just depends on the show you're at and the people that you're generally around. Mosh pits have a tendency to escalate in level of energy. Rather it be 1 minute people are bumping into each other, or the next minute people are doing full-on roundhouse kicks into the crowd. It's always a bit of a gamble of what you're going to get, but it can always lead into some very interesting stories to be told. Which is why I thought I'd take a bit of a different road today and tell some stories that come from the mosh pit scenes, such as heavy metal, indie shows a little bit, and generally hardcore scenes. Because the true entertainment of the show is when the 6-foot-tall guy roundhouse kicks into a group of teens. But as always, let's delve into the pit and see if we can get a free punch in the mouth. I swear, one of these stories is just gonna flat out be like, I went to my first show and a man uppercutted my jaw into my fucking brains. And like, I'm already calling it now. Like, let's call bets for it. Our first set of stories come from the r/punk thread, where it basically states, what's your most memorable mosh pit story / experience? Now, we might go through these a little bit quicker than we usually do with other stories, since these are shorter posts, but I'm going to try to get through them as much as I can, while also just kind of pulling out the details that I kind of notice in them. But let's go ahead and jump right into the first one. I was about 16 years old. By then, I was already fully into punk music and embracing the culture as my own, but getting my driver's license made it so I could actually start getting into the actual punk scene for the first time. My shitty band played a show with Kill Your Idols and Striking Distance. This is the thing that I really like about the punk and hardcore scene, is just like the really cool or super goofy names that bands will come up with. Like, you can just have a band like Dookie 9000 or the Stinkballs. Like, flat out, you can just be anything and roll with it. As long as you can play an instrument, I've just learned, it don't fucking matter. Call it whatever you want. If I had to think of a band name on the spot, and then go ahead and freaking take it if you want, you can call yourself something like My Dead Grandpa or Grandma, depending on whatever you want to go off of. But you could just be like flat out a shoegaze band that goes straight into hardcore immediately. You're just like that old tuning play, and then you just burn it, you know what I'm saying? Like, fucking slow it, sweet, but then when you're ready, you're a fucking angry old person, you know what I'm saying? Apparently, the week before, hot water music played at a venue up the street, and a fistfight broke out between Nazi punks and anti-racist skinheads. Yeah, that's how the scene was sometimes back then. You know, the scene has really changed a lot from sometimes what I've noticed. You don't really see those people anymore. That's the thing. You do not see those kind of people. Now, I'm not going to say that they don't exist. It's not like there was a crusade that was made to slay them. But, I mean, they're just not really seen. Because at the end of the day, people make it clear, like, you're not welcome. If you're hateful here, you are not welcome. The scene is always going to be open to everybody, and if you can't be open to everybody, then everyone in there is going to make sure that you're told to get the fuck out. Fast forward to the Kill Your Idols show. I'm moshing and being an oblivious 16-year-old dumbass when some kid not much older than me with a mohawk walks in and starts playfully shoving people around in the pit. It was literally seconds. He was in the venue and having fun for seconds before this colossus of a skinhead the size of a small truck calmly came up to this kid, winds back, and fist fucks his face. Ooh. The guy who ran the venue back then was a military dude. I think he was in the reserves or some bullshit. Either way, I say that because this guy, who was no small guy, looked like a child riding a piggyback on a giant trying to pull this massive skinhead off this kid. But luckily, at least someone tries. You know, someone has to try to stop. But yeah, when it goes against giants and people that are under, I mean, I don't know. You never know. I've seen miracles happen. I've seen full-on fucking miracles. You ever watch Nacho Libre? There you go. The band, not giving a fuck, kept playing. And after a while, the kid came to, and some people helped him walk out of the venue and call for a ride. His face was absolutely fucked. He was purple and blue and immediately swelling up. I walked over to some older dudes back then who played in a local street punk / oi band called The Bricks to ask them what that was all about. The drummer says in a high-pitched, wheezy voice, "That kid? Fuck that kid. He was talking Nazi shit at the Hot Water Music Show last week, so Pete had to teach him a lesson." Of course, an old head drummer would be in that sort of wheezy voice and sounding like, "Yeah, fuck that kid. I'm more focused on my rhythm, dude. I'm trying to keep up my bass with my snare. Did you not see how hard I was hitting my snare? Should have been focused on the band, dude, not the fight, okay? It's about the music, not the culture." Our next set of stories come from a thread within the r/metalcore subreddit posted by a shipwrecked in the sand titled Best Mosh Pit Stories. Back in 2016, I saw Slipknot and Lamb of God. Lamb of God came on, crowd got absolutely wild. Not sure what song they were starting, but remembered Randy saying, "I want a wall of death in the grass." So naturally, two sides split apart, and standing in the middle was this girl, maybe early 20s, about 5 foot tall. Before anyone could grab her, the bass dropped, and all I see was two walls of people collide with this girl, never to be seen again. Once again, just that reminder of, yeah, most of the time the people that always get destroyed or fucked at shows are people that are like 5 foot or under. Like generally like hitting like 5'5" under that, they always are the ones that suffer the worst because they've got the confidence, they've got the key to get out there and try. But when you're running with giants, when you're running with the buffalo, you gotta learn not to get trampled. 2019, I saw ADTR. Second Sucks is my favorite track of all time. I hear the guitar fade in and my buddy grabs me and we make our way to the nearest pit. Shit starts getting wild, as it always does. When do pits usually never get wild? I feel like I've never seen like a boring pit. If I've ever seen a boring pit, I feel like I would just leave the show. Like, it just depends. Like, I love supporting my locals, but if it's just not rowdy enough, I don't think I can stick around. I can try to make it rowdy, but if no one's wanting to play ball, then I guess I gotta call it a day's end, you know? I'm bouncing around having a good old time. When I turn to find my friend, all I see is a big, knuckly fist coming straight for my face. It hit me so hard, I fell back on the floor and started to get trampled. But here comes old Jacob scooping me off the floor and back into the pit. Good times. Other than getting punched in the face, usually it's always casual for everyone to try to pick anybody up that falls in the pit right back up just so they can get into the pit again, because nobody should be trampling on anybody. Like, it's very commonly, I think, known for everybody, like universally, that when somebody falls in the pit, you always pick them up. Now, if they get punched in the face, that might be a fight you're trying to avoid, which is fully understandable. But if they're just down and the guy walks away, definitely get that guy up. Because the last thing you want is someone getting waffle stomped on the concrete floor of the pit. You enter at your own risk. That's the best thing I can always say. If you ran in there and was like, why'd he do that? It's like, well, shit got wild. Shit got crazy. Next story. Knocked loose in Chicago a couple of months ago. Got through the entirety of both shows without being hurt too bad. Then Counting Worms starts, and I'm at the back border of the pit. Start running forward to go stage dive. Pit is completely empty and nobody's moving yet. Then, in the middle of the pit, out of nowhere, I get clocked directly in the face hard. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like a lot of these stories are gonna be exactly as I called them out to be. It's gonna be a classic, I got punched in the fucking face. But you know what? That's the fun of it. It's always a different experience of how you were punched in the face. Maybe you got punched by a big hand, a small hand. Maybe you got punched by a disfigured elephant man hand. You just never know. That's the fun of going into the pit. Had to sprint through the crowd out of there into the bathroom before the song even dropped because my nose was gushing blood into my mask. Took 45 minutes to stop the bleeding. Thank fuck it wasn't broken. Dude, that's a case where, like, I don't know, if I was gushing blood at that night, that's just where I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of a mess. I'd probably head back home. But then most people that can actually hold it out be like, fuck it, dude. Fuck it. Like, honestly, call outs to you, like, shout out to you. That's pretty badass. Like, if he kept going after that, you know what? That's a full-on play. Another cool story is from Cannibal Corpse in 2018 in STL. We went with a bunch of friends as teenagers, and this family comes into the middle of the pit. Two middle-aged parents, a teen boy close to my age at the time, 16, and a boy that couldn't have been older than 6 or 7. Parents started teaching the kids how to mosh. Everybody else halts and gives them space, until after a song or two, the parents motion for all of us to join back in, and the crowd went absolutely bonkers. Kids had a fucking blast. See, I'm sure that'd be a great time until, like, you have that one guy that's like, I gotta show this kid how real moshing is. He just runs in, does a full-on roundhouse crowd killer kick into one of those kids, and they just go flying out of the pit. Now, I'm sure in a realistic term, that would never happen. Maybe, depending on the show. Well, I mean, most people will be like in the comments, be like, there's parents that wouldn't happen! But it's like, I'm just saying, a man can fantasize that a possibility of a child just getting roundhouse kicked at a show. Like, can he not? Can he not? I'm sorry, whatever. On to the next one. I tore my ligaments while playing American football first day at Rock AM Ring and had to be brought to the hospital by an ambulance. Spent the rest of the festival on crutches. Second day, we see Fever 333 play, and a huge pit emerges, and I just can't help it, and I want to go in so bad. So I tell my friends to watch out for me a bit and join the pit on my crutches. It was super fun. People mostly watched out and only pushed me really soft. Made a lot of friends that day. See, that's where you gotta really go hard and show them that you can't go soft. You gotta really swing those crutches around. You gotta crowd kill with those crutches, you know? If it what he should have done is just gone on his like best well, I think he said he tore ligaments. Yeah, he tore his ligaments. Okay, fuck, never mind. You can't just stand on your legs. Maybe, because I was gonna say, if he had those crutches and he could stand, he could just like helicopter that shit, you know what I'm saying? Just fucking swing that shit around and start seeing if you can smack some people. Control the pit. That's really what you could do with that. I gotta say though, for someone to go in there after a like huge injury like that, fuck A, man. Like, once again, another definition of punk. You get injured and you keep going. Yeah, dude. You've got the strength. You've got the talent. You can do it. You can get back out there. You are the warrior. Deftones concert circa 2015. We're all moshing out having a good time when Chino pulls a large plastic dong out of his pants and chucks it into the crowd. My years of Little League Baseball came in handy and I managed to catch it. I was so stoked until I realized what exactly I had caught. Lol. I was still pumped to have caught it though. That's such an interesting way to have described that. It's like, luckily my years of catching balls helped me to catch a plastic dong. It's like, sure. Gave it to a buddy of mine when he got back home for safekeeping. Should really see if he still has it, Lamau. I mean, honestly, if that's flat out tossed out into the crowd, like, that's something you just got to put in a glass frame box and never touch, because that thing will just become an artifact over time. Because when we die, when the human race just gets extinct and aliens come down to search for us for artifacts, they'll find that and they'll put it in their alien museum and be like, humans... So something like that can be shown in like alien history books, and throughout time they'll just remember us as like that. A plastic dildo in a glass box. Moving on to our next thread of stories, we go back to the r/punk subreddit that was posted by Virgo Jazzy, titled Craziest Mosh Pit Stories. This one actually has quite some doozies, so let's get into it. I went to my first Warped Tour in '99. I was 14. I was watching the Dropkick Murphys close to the stage when I felt something jab me in the side. It hurt, but not enough to not watch Dropkick. Okay, well, that's the good part. You know, you get stabbed, but you're just kind of like, well, I'm gonna get my money's worth. I mean, I'm still gonna watch the show, you know? It's like, even after just like of an event like that happens, like, you think most people would just be like, the fuck? But nah, not this guy. He's just like, well, I gotta watch them play. They're not done yet. They're about to get to the solo. After their set, I felt my side because it still kind of hurt, and there was a small lump there. about the size of a BB. I decided to go to the med tent to get checked out because there was definitely something under my skin. The medic then told me that he may have some tools to get out whatever was in there. He turned around and rummaged for a few seconds, and when he turned back around, he was holding a Leatherman and a bottle of saline. He said that was the best that he could do under the circumstances. I told him I would be okay and I would just go to the doctor when I got home. Damn, doctor just full on pulls out the...
Well, we could just do some quick surgery on you.
It's just like, I can definitely get that feeling of just like, at a warp tour in a tent? Maybe not. Maybe I'll just go to a real doctor to get that opinion. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, it's a free opportunity. If you really want to get rid of it, I mean, just go for the full-on fucking, you know, full-on cut down the side. The next day, my mom took me to the emergency room. They took an x-ray and determined that what... Fucking dumbass dog. They took an x-ray and determined that in my side was, drumroll, about 2 inches of a fucking pencil. 2 inches? Holy shit. Damn. Damn, you got stabbed. You didn't get jabbed, you got stabbed. Like, fuck. How did you not bleed from that? Like, wouldn't you bleed from something like that? I mean, I guess if there's a solid object going into, like, your wound, it's gonna definitely just block it up like a splinter. But still, it's like, God damn, that's like a whole needle. The doctor gave me some local anesthetic and went to town digging that bad boy out. Eventually, he was able to remove everything, slapped a bandage on it, and sent me on my way. I wish so badly that I had asked to keep what was left from the pencil. To this day, it still baffles my mind. Who the fuck brings a goddamn pencil into the pit at a warp tour? Crazy folk, insane people, mentally ill people. People that have maybe done too many drugs and now think that they're in a whole war zone. They think in their mind they're in a scene from Lord of the Rings where orcs are fighting men and elves, and now they have to defend themselves to save Mordor. Something kind of like that. That's kind of like what I would think. But still, that is like insane. 2 inches. Fucking ow! On to the next story. Many years ago, Agnostic Front played at a local venue. My buddy and I were standing on the dance floor in between sets when we noticed a guy in a Bully Boys shirt. Now mind you, there are 2 bands named the Bully Boys. One from South Florida, none racist, and the ones from Texas, Nazi scum. Damn, once again, another situation where Nazis come in and ruin everything once again. So my buddy walks up to old boy and throws his arm around him. Hey man, nice shirt. Is that the South Florida band or the Texas band? He replies, Texas, brother. White power. And he proceeds to Sieg Heil. Okay, well, I guess you flipped your coin and got your answer. I bet you put your answer on tails, and sadly, you got fucking heads. My buddy locks him up tight and says, hit this, motherfucker. So I land one clean right in the kisser. The guy falls back and starts staggering to the floor. We proceed to follow him outside and have a little more fun. Christ, they hunt this guy down. I look up and there's a police officer sitting on a bicycle watching the entire thing go down. The Nazi is bloody and can hardly walk at this point. As he's stumbling down the sidewalk away from us, the officer starts riding his bike towards us. I immediately think to myself, well, we're fucked tonight. I mean, yeah, like when you have an officer that basically just watched you assault somebody, what else can you go through your mind of like, yeah, no, I am going to jail tonight. But worth it. Worth it jail time. Also, I just want to advise, I never think you should take violence out on anybody unless they truly deserve it. So at the end of the day, for what you do and the choices you make are completely up to you. But just always know, I think there's always an answer to anything before it comes to violence. So there's at least that, right? My friend and I both yell, he's a fucking Nazi! To the cop, and to my dismay, he cracks a smile, turns his bike around, and rides off. We go back in, finish the set, and enjoy the rest of the night. Zero tolerance for white power shit around here. Real skinheads aren't racists. Racists aren't skinheads. You know, that is a really fair point to say that I guess in my own dismay I fuck up on saying, because at the end of the day, they're right. Like, there's a community of people that are skinheads that are not, you know, in that sort of vibe. They just like the style, which I definitely get. I think when it comes down to is you can dress any way you want. It always just comes to your mindset. If you're like a hateful person and you dress that way, you ruin that imagery for everyone else to wear, because then when everyone sees somebody wearing that, they're going to assume, oh, Nazi. And unfortunately, I'm a little bit like that as well, where when I see somebody that's a skinhead, I get a little worried and I'm like, what the fuck? But sometimes all I gotta do is a simple thing of, oh, what's their laces? As long as it's not red or anything like fucking, violent looking, yeah, well, you're good. You're fine. I will say, this was a classic story of, we saw a Nazi and we beat him up. Like, I feel like so far, this video has been a lot of, dude, I got hit in the face, and dude, a Nazi beat up this guy, or we beat up a Nazi. Who knows what's next? Let's see what happens. I've said this so many of these words now at this point that I'm sure YouTube's just gonna be looking at this video being like, I just found a link to a story about a pro Australian skater that pissed in his mouth during a show. And I'm just in shock and awe, because I want to show this, but I absolutely cannot, because from what I'm just seeing, no. Two come to mind. Thrice concert at the Armory in Minneapolis. I was doing this thing where I would pit until I ran out of breath, then get some people to lift me up and surf me to the front. I'd run around the bar, grab a water/beer, chill out, then run back out again. That's got like some playground vibes, like little kid playground vibes, where it's like, dude, I'm gonna go play in the playground, sip some juice, eat some fucking Cheez-Its, sit down for a minute, and back to the playground, I asked some dude at the edge of the pit if they could pick me up. They said yeah and proceeded to hoist me, till someone got shoved and I fell back on my fucking noggin. These dudes just stand over me like pallbearers. I did the only thing I could think to do. I screamed, "Fuck yeah!" Someone grabbed my hand, they put me up again, and I surfed up to the front and went and nursed my aches with a cold one. The second, in my teens, I screamed in a hardcore band. Our last song of the 3-song set at Taste of Reno, we decided to be the only band to ask for a wall of death. It was breathtaking. Until the riot broke out. I had many friends and family in the crowd. We finished the song and ran back out to the crowd where a lot of the people I know were getting 86'd and helping break it up. Or just helping in general. Best injury of the night was my mom, who left with a big old shiner. Damn. The one moment where you try to make some history for yourself and it just causes a situation where everyone just kind of gets fucked. See, this is kind of what I was talking about, I think, a little bit before, where it's like, you have to be careful when you're doing these things, because, yeah, dude, one minute you got people running into each other, the next minute everyone just wants to punch each other in the mouth. Like, I don't know what it is, to get your aggression really moving, and some people just, like, they can't handle it. They're just like a fucking, what's the best way? They're like a firecracker, dude. You light them off, they kind of, run around for a bit, and then they just pop. They just pop. And they flat out just start doing some random shit where it goes from to, it gets to a point where it's like, damn, dude. It went from 5 to 100 real fucking quick. But what can you do? What can you expect from a wall of death? You're having two groups of bodies just cram into each other. Whoever's in the center of that, like that girl in the last story, dead. They're fucking dead, dude. Gone. Over. But I will say, like, the biggest bummer out of the story is definitely having your mom, like, leave after getting punched in the face. Like that. Once again, another victim of the face to the fist, but this time, it was their mom. You know who else gets punched in the face at punk shows? My mom! But that is all the mosh pit stories I have for you for now. If you liked the video and you enjoyed watching it, be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your friends that have even had the same experiences as before. And if you're looking to join an awesome community or tell some stories of your own, be sure to join our Discord, which is almost 200 people over and growing. So we're growing strong. We're doing it, y'all. Let's keep it up. But thank y'all so much for watching the video. I hope you have an amazing day, and be sure to catch me in the next one. Either way, thank you so much, and have a good one. Deuces.